I think that theatre's like still one of the most exciting mediums to tell stories in. I really like the energy of a space, and that shared experience with an audience is something I've always been really excited by, and to keep engaging with that is something that I find really scary and rewarding, and just a sort of shared space to ask questions about the world and how we live and how we talk to each other and how we make sense of it. I'm from the countryside, so I'm sort of really interested in that sort of landscape and finding stories from that landscape. So those sort of walking quite far and those sort of like bypass towns and stuff like that are all sort of places that I find really fascinating, because I don't know, there's a certain sort of sense that sometimes they can feel a bit forgotten, and I don't really want them to, because I think they're really important places, and I think the people there are really important as well. Sometimes, you know, when you think about writing, and certainly when I started, I always thought like, oh, you have to sort of sit behind a desk like for like 6 hours a day, and that is writing. But I think for me, I think like 95% of writing is not actually writing. For me, it's like walking around, sort of listening to music, sort of engaging my brain in that way, instead of just being sort of sat behind a computer screen. So my process is sort of like, yeah, walk around a lot, get stressed, get anxious. And then when sort of, I don't know, there comes a moment where you're just like, look, just get it down or get on with something. And I'll sort of write pages and pages and pages of dialogue, which will go nowhere. But out of those sort of, I don't know, however many pages you've got, there might be sort of 2 lines or 5 lines or a tiny bit that kind of opens up something else. If you feel like you're riffing for 20 pages, you might be, but out of those 20 pages, you might get something that changes the shape of the play, or kind of works out something that you were stuck about and things like that. Well, if you're anything like me, you'll just worry, and you'll just cripple yourself with anxiety and kind of go like, I can't do this, it's done. And it's not done, it's not finished. So get yourself a deadline, and don't worry about the first draft. Treat first draft like a first draft. Treat it like a sort of experiment, because for me, a huge amount of work takes place after the first draft, in the redrafting and sort of finding out things that I missed in the first go. So sort of get to the end of that, and also, I don't know, kind of just write it. Don't write about writing it, just write the play, and share it with someone you really trust and also you respect. I guess, yeah, you've got to push yourself constantly, because that's what writing is. But you know, don't deny your own experience, because you know, you think it might be invalid, because they're all valid. Every experience is valid and worth, if you think it's worth writing about, then why not? But in terms of conducive to a long career, I have no idea. I'm proud when it sort of like actors and directors and sort of creatives seem to be sort of really like enjoying working on like a play of mine. That makes me feel really proud. That makes me feel like I've that in some vague way I've done my job right. And there's no right or wrong when you're sort of writing plays, but in terms of just like being in a room with people that seem to be sort of excited and happy to be working on that, I feel kind of proud then. My favourite part of rehearsals is sort of the first week, where, you know, I sort of realise my limitations as a writer sitting behind a computer screen, and you've got really, really creative people, from actors, directors to designers, stage managers, all of them, just asking questions of the text, and I really like going away and responding to that and sort of allowing the story to grow beyond what I could do on my own. If I sort of have a tiny spark of an idea, I'll try and run with it as quickly as possible, because otherwise I'll just sort of worry about it too much and give up. So yeah, sort of doing something, sort of working on something like that now. You always got to keep going, I think.